All right, welcome back to the Roast It Yourself podcast brought to you by Coffee Bean Corral and Current Crop Roasting Shop. My name is Stephen Burnett with Coffee Bean Corral in Jackson, Mississippi, and with me as always is Catherine Mansell, Certified Q Grader and Director of Current Crop Roasting Shop in New Orleans, Louisiana. Catherine, what is going on down there?
Everything. Everything. A little bit of everything.
So
What I'm
many
currently
things.
working on is I'm doing quite a few different roasts for a potential wholesaler for another business in New Orleans who is using Current Crop as a small batch roaster.
Very cool.
So I'm working on things like that, but now I'm just sort of getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, aren't we all? My goodness, getting ready for what's after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
But no, we're kind of following in Current Crop's footsteps, doing a little miniature releases of some roast to order 12-ounce bags. I think this week we're taking orders for the Ethiopia Misty Valley. We've got some great coffees coming down the line if y'all want to try them already roasted. If you want to test your skills against a professional roaster with the same coffee beans you've been enjoying, it's a great way to get on board there. So check that out at Coffee Bean Corral. And if you want to bulk up, Catherine will roast coffee for you for a price. For a price. Each week, we set aside about 10 minutes to field questions for home coffee roasters and professionals alike about roasting, tasting, and most importantly, enjoying coffee. You can send your questions to questions@riypod.com. That's questions@riypod.com to get a nice shout out from us in an upcoming episode. And of course, to get your question answered. Now, before we get into the question, we actually have two shout outs in this episode. Catherine, give us that first shout out that we wanted to do.
We had someone named John. I didn't ask for his permission, so I'm not going to use his first and last name. That sent me a message on Facebook and said, Catherine, with the YouTube videos, you and Stephen have convinced me to try home roasting. Thursday, my electrician will be installing a dedicated 20-amp circuit in my garage for a roasting station. The setup that you have in New Orleans is exactly the one I want to get. 800 extension tube, dual basket cooler. Let me know if there's anything else I need. And I roasted him some Papua New Guinea organic Purosa last week, and he said it smells amazing. So I just wanted to shout out to him because obviously he's either watching or listening to the podcast, both. And we got somebody to get into it with us, and I'm pretty excited about it.
Amazing. What a great show. That's why we do it. That's why we do this. We want to and honestly, most of it is, he said, you convinced me. I think we just showed him that anybody can do this. If we can get on here and talk about it, anybody can do this. And so, we love hearing from people that take that leap, because I think there's so many mental blocks about coffee roasting. And to take that leap because they watch the show. John, thank you so much for that beautiful words. We love to hear it. That is great. So moving on from John to Jim, who's got us a question. By the way, this is going to be our smelliest episode ever, I think, because he said the coffee smelled good. We have another smell question, and here's the question. Jim asks, what are your thoughts on using finished roast smell as another data point for roast quality? I have been home roasting for about a year now. One thing I have never heard mentioned is using the sense of smell of the final roasted beans to verify roast quality. Sometimes I will roast a new bean, and when it's done, it may smell a bit roasty or overdone, or still a bit green and straw-like, even though the color measure is right where and the weight loss is in my target range. Recently, I changed my roast profile for a particular bean, and when it was done, the roast smelled absolutely amazing. I mean, it smelled sweet and intoxicating. I had used the same development time, but modified the profile slightly, and I couldn't wait to brew it. Sure enough, I brewed it about a week later, and it was incredible. Surely the final roast smell must be an indicator of roast quality. Or is it? Would love to hear your thoughts, Jim. Jim, fantastic question. Really good one. One that, honestly, we scratched our heads a little bit. Like, I don't know. Catherine, what are your thoughts on the smell? And we're going to define this as the roaster turns off, the beans are cool, and you smell them. Not like 3 days later, you smell them. So what do you think, Catherine?
Yeah. I think there are indicators to let you know if you have made an error. Even in the aroma kit that I use, there are certain aromas that let you know that you have under roasted the coffee or you have over roasted the coffee. So that straw-like smell that he mentioned is actually part of the aroma kit, and it lets you know that your beans are underdeveloped. So that is a good indicator of knowing that you haven't developed them far enough. And then that roasty smell, depending on how intense that smell is, will let you know if you've gone too far. You have to be a little bit careful with that one because dark roast have that bold sort of roasty smell. But you'll know when you've gone too far because that roasty smell won't have any sweetness in it whatsoever. And it'll smell just, that's a good way to put it. Smoky like ashy, not smoky like tobacco. It'll smell more ashy when you've gone too far. And if you've baked coffee before, if you haven't adjusted and had your temperature increasing and just sort of low and slow for 18 minutes roasted coffee, it'll smell flat. It won't have anything positive in it that comes up. So I think it is a good indicator of letting you know if you've gone too far or not far enough to get in that sweet spot to where it does smell good. Because we have folks in here who come in, roast coffee, they don't have a grinder at home and we have to grind it immediately. I know. But even just doing that, you can smell it as it's grinding and you know that you've nailed the roast because you can smell how good it smells. So I think he's right about the smell of it being a pretty good indicator of how your roast was.
Yeah, I think that's helpful, and it's something that I haven't thought a whole lot about. Now, one thing I want to say is that I feel that as far as specific notes in the post roast, fragrance. Fragrance is dry. Is that right in the parlance? Okay. I have smelled coffees in cuppings, and the fragrance was just off the chain. And I was getting all kinds of sweetness and wonderfulness, and none of it translated into like you pour water on this and you drink it. And it's like none of that is there. So I feel like that's also an aspect. You can have a coffee with very little like fragrance and aroma, and yet wonderful taste, and vice versa. So at least in my experience, you tell me if I'm wrong. I don't want these people to be led astray by my ignorance, but that's my experience with coffees is that there's not always a direct connection between the fragrance and aroma and the actual like flavor of the coffee. And so that being the case, I don't think want to put too much stock in like the positive elements. Oh, I'm smelling chocolate, therefore it's going to taste like chocolate. Or I'm smelling a lot of sweetness, therefore it's going to be a very sweet cup. It may be. But I don't know that. I think some of that stuff does come out in the wash, so to speak, and I think that's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's more so: are you smelling something that's positive, or are you smelling something that's negative? So not as specific as I'm smelling chocolate. Hopefully, I taste chocolate. More along the lines of I smell chocolate. I smell something that's positive. It's under the assumption that when I get into the cup, something positive is kind of come out of it, not necessarily specific chocolate, because once you grind coffee and you're smelling the fragrance, most of the time it's going to be more complex. It's going to be more intense when it's dry. And there are a lot of coffees where what you smell on the fragrance carries all the way over into the cup. There's some Dominican coffees that do that very, very well. And then sometimes you'll smell something that is not in the cup in any way. I evaluated a coffee from Venezuela a few years ago that smelled like pink bubble gum and tasted like dirt. So sometimes there's a correlation in what you smell and what you taste, but not always. I would more so think about, am I smelling something that smells good or a positive note versus am I smelling something that smells bad or has some negative.
So it's like more of a direction type of indicator as opposed to like anything specific. Like if over there lies all the good flavors and over there lies all the bad flavors, it's the fragrance and aroma can tell you which way we're leaning here.
Yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah. That's very helpful. Yeah, I've definitely thought of it. I didn't know the first thing that when I was first roasting coffee that surprised me and still surprises everyone I bring up here. If I show them coffee, they're like, it doesn't smell like coffee. It doesn't smell like coffee. And they're stunned because they expect the aroma of like a coffee shop to fill their house, right? And it doesn't smell like out of the gate. It takes a little while for that smell to develop, depending on how dark you go. But yeah, that is still a useful data point. And I like the framing of Jim's question that this is just one other data point for a bunch of data points that you have when you're roasting, while you're doing it, while it's happening, and then even after you've roasted it. So I think it's very, very helpful. Anything else?
I've gone through. I've gone through. If I've been out of town and I've had somebody roast coffees for me to have ready when I get back, the first thing I do is I open the bag and smell it to see what direction I'm going to go in. Was this roasted well? Was it underdeveloped? The first thing I do is I smell the bag. So it is something to add to the points of what you're going through, what you're looking for.
And we talk all the time about roasting being a sight, sound, and smell like experience. And so the smell is really important, and you can learn a lot. Thank you, Jim. This has been a very fruitful discussion. I've learned some things. Hopefully you guys have gained some tools here and some ideas about like how to determine what's going on with a roast just by smelling it after the fact. But yeah, now I would be remiss if we didn't discuss, like, this is the week before Thanksgiving, and we're gonna have some pretty bananas sales going on. If you're in the Rancher program, if you're a subscriber member of the Rancher Wholesale Group, in other words, you have a business, we are doing a huge Cyber Monday sale this Monday, like a week ahead of real Cyber Monday, just so the business owners can get their orders in. Anything time sensitive can be handled that way. And then for all of everybody else in the whole wide world who wants to buy coffee, we're going to have a Cyber Monday sale, the Black Friday sale. I think free shipping through the weekend. We can't do the Cyber Monday sale and free shipping at the same time. We would have to turn the lights off, and that would be hard to fill orders. But we've got some big things happening over the next 10 days or so. So definitely check back with Coffee Bean Corral on that. And Current Crop, what are you guys doing down there?
We've got a few things. I think Black Friday is going to be more merch is discounted and premium coffees are discounted.
Yep.
Small Business Saturday is discounted roasting fees, so some deals in the store. And then Cyber Monday, all green, roasted, and roast to order coffees are 15% off.
Incredible. Which I think the theme of every episode is, if you live in New Orleans, preferably next door to the shop or within a block, your life is just great. It's just great. You get all the perks. So there you go. You guys should buy some land down there and move. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Jim, thank you so much for the question. Catherine, did we leave anything out of the smell? Did we talk enough about smells?
There's probably something else.
There's more. There's more smelly comments we could have made. And so, listeners, that's up to you. It is your job to get in the comment section and smell everything you know. Smell all. I'm going to make no more puns. Anyway, tell us what you thought of the episode. Tell us what you thought of the advice. Have you found a way of using aroma and fragrance to determine how the coffee is roasting or how it came out at the end of the roast? Anything else like that you guys want to share? We love hearing that stuff from you. So hop in the comments on the podcast, hop in the comments on the YouTube, and make our day and help the roasting world get better. We could not do this at all without the folks that handle our audio, video, and graphic work for the podcast. We've been putting them through their paces recently, and so thank you guys so much for the everything that you do outside of just us being on screen and having a good time talking. Y'all actually have to make this a thing, as opposed to just a mess, which it is when we hand it to you. So thank you very much for that. Everyone, be sure to like and follow and subscribe to our social media accounts for Coffee Bean Corral, Current Crop, and of course the Roast It Yourself podcast on Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff. Remember, send any questions you have about coffee in general or coffee roasting in particular to questions@riypod.com. Otherwise, have a great day and happy roasting.
Thanks, Jim.